Hey everyone, it's Jasmine, and today's practice includes some of my favorite things about yoga: meditation, box breathing, warrior two, extended side angle, and triangle. Before today's practice, I like for us to begin to set an intention. I have a card in front of me I'm going to grab just for us to really connect with this practice today. If you can find a comfortable seat, and close your eyes. If you don't feel comfortable with closing your eyes, a soft gaze will work. And I'm gonna read to this card, so feel free, just get relaxed, get into a comfortable position, and let's start. Yoga is a deep well into which we can tap, drawing forth whatever we need to bring ourselves into wholeness and balance. Ask yourself, what do you need to bring wholeness and balance to your life? Wait for an image or an idea to arise. Be still with that vision for a while and take a couple of deep breaths. Take a deep inhale. Exhale out of your mouth. Begin to open your eyes. And let's begin our practice. Thank you. Feel free to bring props with you with today's practice before we get started. I have a couple of blocks in front of me that I'll be using later in the practice. And let's begin with a warm up. So we're going to begin in a tabletop position here. And here I like to check with our alignment. I like to make sure that our wrists are under our shoulders, and then the same for your knees under your hips here. And then we're gonna go into a couple of cat-cows. Inhale, dip in your belly, open your chest up. Exhale, round your spine. Inhale, drop your belly, open your chest. Exhale, round your spine, belly button to spine. I'm going to allow for you to tap into a couple of your own cat-cows at your own pace. On your next cat-cow, meet me back into a tabletop position. Again, just checking in with your alignment, just making sure your wrists are stacked under your shoulders here. And now we're going to do a bird dog. So in bird dog, there's a couple of variations that I like to use. So here we're going to take our right leg out. And on your opposite arm, you can bring it a little further to you. So this is a variation in bird dog. Or if you like, you can also lift your back leg and keeping your opposite arm straight on the ground as is, or you can bring it up for a challenge, a nice balancing practice. You can hear the shaking in my voice. Return back to a neutral tabletop and repeat on the opposite side here. So a couple of different variations. Feel free to tap into the one that you like the most. And we're here for a couple of breaths. Return to tabletop, and then we'll do this again on the opposite side. And on your last side. All right. Now our last move of our warm-up will be some hip circles here. I really love a nice hip circle. It really feels very dynamic and fluid. So imagine that you have a maybe a marker or a crayon right at your navel, and you're looking to draw a circle with that. So you're moving your hips up and down and sideways, drawing that circle with that marker that's dead smack in your belly button here. And these circles could be as small or as big as you like. And we're just making some nice circles here, really loosening up our hips. And then we're gonna pause and then go into the opposite direction. And you can just be very creative in the hip circle if you like. You can move your head along with your hips here. You can be as fluid as you like. I think this is why I really like hip circles. You can be as creative as you like with those. And I'm gonna do a couple of more here. And return back to a neutral tabletop. And then here we're just going to stand up a little bit, give our wrists a break. I like to do some hip circles. We've been on our wrist for a while. All right. Returning back to a tabletop position here, we're gonna untuck our toes, push our hips back and up for our first downward dog of today. And in your downward dog, feel free to take your dog for a walk by bending one knee at a time. And now find some stillness in your dog. And maybe you can think about the question I posed earlier. While you're in downward dog, what can bring wholeness or balance into your life? Inhale, looking forward. And then you can widen your stance as we walk to the top of your mat here. And meet me in forward fold. I'm kind of in a wide-legged forward fold here. Not super wide, but and from forward fold, ground into all four corners of your feet and rise up slowly, vertebrae by vertebrae. Inhale, lifting your hands up. Exhale, hands at heart center. Let's flow. So we're here already at the top of our mat, and we're gonna inhale, arms up forward, extended Tadasana or mountain pose. Exhale, forward fold. In your forward fold, you can have your knees bent or working towards as straight as possible. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, forward fold. Step back into a downward dog. Inhale, sweeping your right leg up. And feel free to bend or keep your back leg straight, whichever feels comfortable for you today. And then exhale into warrior one with your back leg almost at a 45-degree angle here. Bending into your front knee. Exhale, open up to warrior two. For a nice bend in your front knee, checking your alignment, heels are in a line for warrior two. Cartwheel to chaturanga. Low cobra. Exhale, downward dog. Inhale, sweeping your left leg. Exhale, warrior one. Open up to warrior two. Cartwheel to chaturanga. Low cobra. Exhale, downward dog. And from here, we're gonna walk up to a forward fold. Reverse one. Inhale, arms up. Exhale, hands at heart center. Let's get ready for flow two. We're just gonna be adding on an additional move or two. Inhale, arms up. Exhale, bring down to forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, step back to warrior two. Sweep your right leg up. Exhale, warrior one. Open up to warrior two here. And now you're gonna place your front arm on your front thigh and then swing your arms up and around for an extended side angle here. And in your extended side angle, don't lean or just kind of lay on your thigh. Just a nice strong hold up here. And you can also twist opening up your chest here. Exhale, reverse warrior. Chaturanga to low cobra. Exhale, downward dog. From downward dog, inhale, sweeping your left leg up. Exhale, warrior one. Open up to warrior two. Extended side angle. Reverse your warrior. Cartwheel to chaturanga. Lower up cobra. Exhale, downward dog. Inhale, looking straight, and then walk, jump, or hop to the top of your mat. Forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, forward fold. Reverse swan dive up. Exhale, hands at heart. If you hadn't had a chance yet, feel free to grab your blocks if you are using them. In today's practice, we're gonna utilize them into the last flow. So you can bring them closer to your mat. And let's get started. Inhale, arms up. Exhale, forward fold. Halfway lift. Back to downward dog. Inhale, sweeping your right leg up. Stepping into warrior one. Open up, warrior two. Extended side angle. Reverse warrior. And here I'm gonna grab my block. So we're still into our reverse warrior here. And now we're gonna move into triangle. So we're gonna straighten out our front leg, push our hips back, and then we have our block here, bringing up the floor. And we're gonna straighten our arms up here, or you can have your hands on your hips for a supported triangle. From here, we're gonna just move our block and then cartwheel back to chaturanga, low or up cobra, downward dog. And now sweeping your left leg up, step into warrior one, open up, warrior two, extended side angle, reverse warrior. And we're gonna straighten our front leg out. Feel free to grab your block. If not, you can reach towards the ground with your left arm and then your right arm up or on your hip for a triangle. Cartwheel to chaturanga, lower up cobra, to downward dog. From downward dog, lower to your knees in your tabletop position. And then with your knees wide and your big toes touching, sitting your hips back to child's pose. And here you can use your block, placing your head on the block. And we're here for a couple of deep breaths. Take your deepest breath of today's practice. Exhale through your mouth. And raise up into a tabletop position, moving your block if you haven't already. And from the neutral position, swinging your legs around either right or the left side here with your legs straightened out. Feel free, you can also bring your blocks here as we're gonna do a seated side stretch with our legs out. So take your right hand here, placing it on the block or the ground, whichever feels comfortable for you. Inhale with your left arm here, and we're just gonna stretch over to our right side. It's a nice stretch. And you can have a nice bend in your right elbow here. And then we're gonna repeat on the opposite side. And now you can sit with your leg at a V stance here. So still straighten out in front of you, just now in a V pose. And then we can use both of our blocks again, placing them on each side of your right leg here. Inhale with your arms up, and then we're going to reach over to your right side here. So just a nice kind of a wide-legged forward fold. And with each breath, see if you can get deeper into the forward fold. And taking your blocks over to your opposite side. Inhale, arms up. And then we're gonna fold over to our left side here. And with each breath, just see if we can get a little bit deeper into this fold. All right, rising yourself up by just walking your hands back and then moving your blocks over to the side here. And from here, we're just gonna lay back and get ready for Shavasana. So finding a way to your back as comfortable as you like. And in Shavasana, if you like, you can be in kind of a constructive rest here with your knees together or laying out your legs here. And before I go quiet, I like to bring back the idea I presented earlier in our practice. As you reflect on today's practice, what can bring wholeness or balance to your life? If you envision an image or an idea, can you sit with that during Shavasana? Imagine you letting yourself melt into your mat, envisioning what brings balance or wholeness to your life. I'll be quiet and come back to get you soon. On your next breath, take your deepest breath of today's practice. If your eyes are closed, it's a great time to soften them, open them up. Wiggle your fingers, wiggle your toes, come back to your practice. And we're gonna roll over to our side of the mat. Either side is fine. And here in fetal position, feel free just to relax a little, reflect on your practice. And then pushing yourself up. And then I'm gonna use my blocks to just help me sit up a little bit today as we do a couple of box breathing before we end today's practice. So if you have a pillow or you want to use your blocks to sit on, both are great tools to kind of lift you up, bring your hips up a little bit. And before we close out today, I wanted to share a breathing practice with you called box breathing. It's helpful to reduce stress or to help you improve your focus or concentration. I typically use box breathing at the end of my day when I'm laying in bed just to kind of help bring myself grounded. So imagine if you're thinking of a square, a visual of a square. So we're going to inhale for 4, drawing that line up. Hold, drawing over, exhale for 4, drawing down, hold for 4, that's your box. So as you're practicing your box breathing, that visualization of a square could be really helpful for you. And then we're gonna do this together, and then I'm going to allow you some time to focus on your box breathing. If 4 seconds is a little bit challenging for you, you can do 2 or 3 seconds between the holds. We're gonna inhale for 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Inhale for 4. Hold for 4. Exhale for 4. Hold for 4. Inhale for 4. Hold for 4. Exhale for 4. Hold for 4. Hopefully you're getting the hang of it. I'm gonna let you try it out while I also practice as well. One more time. Feel free to use this breathing technique anytime if you want to help provide some clarity or some calmness to your life, or if you're feeling a little stress. Thank you for joining me in today's practice. I truly enjoyed sharing some of my favorite things about yoga with you today. From meditation to setting an intention to box breathing, and then some of my favorite poses. Be well. Take care. Bye.